It's dinner time, and you're all sitting here. So thank you. And also, whoever bought the last 3 tickets in the last 30 minutes, you're awesome. Because that's awesome. Yeah, so why are we here? We're here because I bullied Chippy into telling her story. Well, can anyone hear me on this? Yes. No, so right. Can everyone hear me now? Yes. Okay. No, you can't hear me? Can anyone hear me? I can hear you. Yeah, but can they hear me? But this doesn't make it any better, right? This doesn't.
Does it work?
Is it turned on?
It's turned on. Testing.
I don't often use a mic in my day-to-day.
Hello.
So a few months ago, I often support Dr. Chippy in everything that she does, and I went and I thought, well, we're going to listen to another, one of her talks, and it's going to be awesome, and it was. Except she really derailed my emotions that night. And she talked about something that not only did I know everything about, but I watched it, I lived through it, others of us in this room lived through it, right, Linda? And it was really emotional. And it's her story. And I begged her to do it again because it was so impactful that I thought there's so much there to unpack. And every person has a story. Everybody has something. And so she's here tonight because, like I said, I bullied her to do it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it. I know it's hard. It's hard to talk about. It's hard for people to hear. But it's inspiring and it's impactful. So I hope that you get from it what I got from it. And that is hope and inspiration and the power to do anything that you want to do. Yeah. All the time, forever. Right? Right? Right, Chippy? I have to scream. She gets a mic.
This is incredible. When I did this the first time, there was just a few individuals that came out to support me, and now this entire damn room. I love all of you. This is just incredible and amazing. Thank you. My name is Chippy, and I remember once I told a patient my name, and of course it's the usual. Well, what's your real name? No, that's my name. And of course he's like, there's a British archaic meaning to Chippy. I'm like, oh great. He's like, yeah, it means a girl of easy virtue. Meaning I'm a hoe.
Also, there's another Chippy in there.
And I don't think my dad meant that when he named me. But at the end of the talk, I'll give you another meaning from my name. So I have these memories. There's a little girl sitting in a taxi, and it's evening, and she just landed in O'Hare, and she's driving. She's being taken home, her mother, her father, and she's meeting them for the first time. And she's 9 years old. Because my dad left when I was a year old, because he wanted to create a space to raise his daughter. My mom left when I was 4, and for all intents and purposes, I was meeting my family. And I have 2 distinct memories of that moment. One was that I looked at my mom and I'm like, this car is moving and it's not making a sound and it's literally gliding and it's going really fast. And she's like, yeah, that's how cars are here, because in India and in Thiruvananthapuram, there are cars and there's auto rickshaws and there's, many people on the scooter where the dad is sitting in the front, the wife is in the back, his little daughter is sitting in the front of the steering, and then the kid, there's a second kid in between, and maybe there's a third kid in the back, and of course he's the only one with a helmet. And then there are dogs everywhere, and then there are bikes, and there's people, and there's water buffaloes, and all of this is happening like froggy. And I am just like, it's like smooth, and the cars are making noise. And then I remember looking out, I remember saying, like, what is the festival going on? Like, the lights. She's like, no, there's no festival. This is Chicago night sky. And I come to this apartment, it's tiny, and I kept opening the closet doors thinking it's gonna lead to this grand room, like these massive homes that I lived in India, and with the maid and the driver, and then the person to do this and that, and my mom's like, you need to do the dishes. And it was an incredibly rude awakening to America. And I remember in my 20s, so at this point, I was in medical school, and the marriage proposals started coming in. And because I'm in med school, I'm definitely up in the ranks, right? And the proposals of these, potential families, a family merging first before and I'm like, there's no way, I'm not marrying somebody I know. This is ridiculous. I'll find my own. So every person that came, I'm like, no, this is ridiculous. There's no way. My mom and dad didn't see each other until the day of their engagement. Now, they're still married, I'm not. But it's a different story. Fast forward, I think in 1999, Sixth Sense came out, and my mom at some point looks over at me and she's like, you could have met Bruce Willis. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, one of those people that you refused, that was M. Night Shyamalan. I'm like, are you kidding? She's like, yeah. Look at this idiot to be married. I don't know if the validity of it, but I very distinctly remember her shaming me. There was another proposal that came in, and my mom was telling my dad, okay, this is a good family, this is a great match. She's like, they're asking for a dowry. And my dad's like, no. My mom's like, it's a great family. He's like, no. She's like, why not? He looked at her and he's like, because she is the dowry. My dad is, my mom, if I'm a brass lamp, my mom's the one that's doing this. And my dad is like, I remember asking my parents why they never had another kid, because I'm an only child, and there were times that I was just like, why do I not have a sibling? And I just challenged my mom, and she's like, I told you, Dad, we need to have another baby. And he was like, but how could we? Because when you came and you saw another child, I didn't want your 9-year-old brain to think that you were being replaced. So, to my parents, I remember so many time warps in my life, and we've all had it. But when you're going through medical school, internship, residency, cardiology fellowship, you have lots of time warps. And what I mean is that you're so sleep deprived, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna sleep for just 10 minutes, and you sleep through multiple alarms, and 3 hours later, you're so behind. You're behind on rounds, you're behind on reading about the patient, so that, when you're there, the attending is there, there's all these med students and residents and fellows, and the attending is like, okay, you're a liver cirrhotic patient, give me 5 signs of liver cirrhosis. And I started, he's like, no, of just a hand. I don't know, they're yellow and ugly. I didn't say yellow, I said jaundice. But Marsha got all the answers right. There's pulmonary edema and spider angioma and clubbing and Dupuytren's contraction. And she added another just to spite me. Because that's how intense medical school residency fellowship. It's like they shame you into becoming. I think they took classes from my mother. To becoming this person. And I survived it all. And then, of course, 20 years later, there was another time warp when everything absolutely stood still. Because my 13-year-old and my 10-year-old, they were reading text messages between my husband and his employee about I love yous and the vexing problem of what to do with a wife. And of course, his reply is, it's okay, I never loved her. And I thought, how can that be? Like time just stopped. It's like as if I was knitted with my 2 girls and we were a sweater and there was just a string and someone pulled it. And I felt every fiber of my being unravel. And I thought, how can that be? Because literally the instant before, I was married to a prince and I was living in a castle. And there was literally an acre of waterfront property, Indian Beach, ironically enough for the 2 Indians. We named our home. It's a Swedish word, and Johanna, you can give me the right pronunciation, but it's Mongata. And there's no English word for that word, because, when you're full-on elitist, that's the kind of shipping. Mongata. It is the road-like reflection that the moon casts on the water. And that was the name for our home. And it was gorgeous because he and I designed it. We designed the landscape. We had zip lines. Oh, and the cars. We had, 6 Ferraris, 5 Lamborghinis. We had an Aston Martin. We had a McLaren. We had a Rolls Phantom. We had a Fisker. Do you know what the name of that car was? Carla. Just want to say, dear Carla, there's someone you missed. And then we had a Model S back in the day where people put their addresses on the map, so that when we drove to Key West, we just pulled up the map of people that had charging stations in their home. And that's how we used to charge Teslas way back. And I was living this fairy tale life to this man, this gorgeous, brilliant man. And, he became a plastic surgeon at age 28. Everyone else does it at age 34, 35, 36, 40. He was 28 when he became a board-certified plastic surgeon because he went through life with such precision. It was like a scalpel. And he didn't know, he didn't have to know that the right atrium connected through the tricuspid valve into the left ventricle, out the pulmonic, in through the lungs to give fresh blood into into the left atrium, to the ventricle, to the aorta, because that night he took his scalpel and he severed my aorta. And I don't know how else to describe that feeling of complete and utter destruction. And you know, we almost didn't happen. I was an intern my first year, and I'm like fully focused on what I had to do, and there's some dude, and he's like, hey, do you know the password? Because I forgot mine. That line, that was his pickup line, okay? And it worked. It worked on me. Because I was this good little Indian girl that never did anything, but just kept her face to her books, and I had no idea that men actually had to try a little. And, you know, I remember him saying, life is a judgment, babe, and you are my best damn judgment that I have ever made. And what does a girl need to hear, right? I melted. Everything he said, I believed and I took it in, and he was everything. You know, during the engagement, so I'm, the only child, my parents, there's this big party, and his father has never seen me, pulls up into the driveway, looks at him, looks at me, my parents are standing behind me, and said, oh God, she's uglier than I thought.
Oh.
He said, I curse you, and I curse this marriage. His mother, I overheard their conversation. She was telling him, you are the most precious thing for us. You were the most precious thing for us. When you were little, we didn't let your feet touch the ground because you were so precious. And now you sleep with an untouchable. How dare you? Right? And we survived all of it. They never came to the marriage, and we never saw the birth of their grandchild. And we survived it all. He made sure that we survived it all. He had to. I was 1% of earners statistically. And he made $20K a year. He didn't. It was creative accounting. And at one point I remember my lawyer wondering if I had to pay him alimony. And then, just like that life ended of losing him, I find out that the entire 15 years of what I made, what he made, which was so much more, was gone. He wiped everything clean. And I thought, because to me, it was just an energy that I was building up for the sake of my children. And it's the energy that it took for me to create this nest egg. Because I remember asking him, I'm the wife of a plastic surgeon, why am I working 90 hours a week? I worked 90 hours a week before I delivered my baby girl. And I remember going to work at 4 a.m. and he was coming in with his friends at 4 a.m. I remember going to work, having my mother call to say, your little one is crying. I would come back, tell her I loved her, and I would go back to work. And I worked, and I worked, and I worked, and I broke my wrist. I had plates and screws, and within 10 days I was back to doing procedures until the orthopedic surgeon yelled at me. I broke my leg. He got me a motorized wheelchair. That was cool because I had to keep working. I worked and I worked, and I herniated my disc. And at some point, the orthopedic surgeon's like, "Can you get a damn bone scan?" And at 45, I had severe osteoporosis. And 3 accidents, severe osteoporosis. I'm 45. My mom's like, "The house is cursed." So she goes and, she's like, "You need to get it uncursed." And so I went to Elysian Fields and they're like, "Oh, there's this lady. She'll come." tell you what to do. And then, someone at work is like, oh my God, my wife, she comes from a gypsy family, she can see ghosts. She'll come over. So interesting, because she came over, and we're sitting in this incredible yard, the water, the sun, and she's like, do you believe in tarot? I'm like, okay, no, I'm a scientist, no. She's like, what the hell, let's just do it. So she's like, shuffle the cards, and I shuffle the tarot cards, and a card falls out. She's like, oh, that one meant to be. Okay, keep shuffling, another and a third. 3 cards fall out. And it's a man, incredibly, just overcome with temptations of alcohol and money and greed. And the other is a card of this beautiful young girl at Tetris. And the third is a person standing, and there's angels around her. And I thought, that's really weird. And this lady, this friend of mine was like, how are you and your husband? I'm like, oh, we're fine. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, no, my husband would never violate my marriage. This was before the text messages. She's like, well, it's okay, just shuffle it again. And I kid you not, the same 3 cards fell out, just with me shuffling the cards. The exact same 3. The person who came to do the feng shui said, listen, on this side, you need to create a fountain. Because the money, the water needs to come into the home, because there, the money is just being washed away. And this is how we're going to set the energy right. And over here, you're going to create this massive mound, and you're going to put plants and flowers, and you're going to let this grow, and it'll come, the truth of your family will come out. And I'm like, okay, this is fantastic. And so it was our 15th anniversary. We went to Maui with the kids, with the girls, and we recreated all these great places that we went to for our honeymoon, and it was magical. And we came home, and this mound is now really going nuts. The water fountain is going crazy. He's getting checks for like $100,000 at a time. This is a man who's like, we are scientists looking at feng shui. So he's out there putting water in the fountain because the sun is like drying up the water. He's filling the fountain because he's getting check after check. And I'm thinking, he's thinking there's something to this. Well, the mound keeps growing. The flowers are just blooming. And we start having arguments and arguments and arguments. And we're not getting better from these arguments. And then the text message. And then the entire life that unravels. And I call the feng shui person, and I tell her, I said, I was about to tell her story, and she's like, Chippy, no need. I said, what do you mean? I said, you told me the mound is to create the grace. And she said, yes. The mound was to bring out the truth. So what do you mean? She said, I walked into your home. I looked at you were happy and clueless. And I looked at him, and I saw the darkest of the darkest eyes. And that mound was to bring out the truth. And my entire life unraveled again and again and again. And I remember once I just collapsed to his feet, and I looked up at him. I said, how could you do this to me? And I knew that I had to work on myself. I knew that if I disintegrated, my 2 children disintegrated. And so I did the work, and it was the strangest thing. People would just come out of the woodworks. And my partner, this incredible, brilliant cardiologist, he ran our business. He was just a genius. He texted me a picture of his patient. And he said, Chippy, you need to meet this lady. And I'm thinking, this is so uncharacteristic because, okay, it's HIPAA violation right there. And I'm thinking, this is so unlike you. Because it's like Andrew Huberman calling and saying, hey girl, I got this girl that I need you to meet. Like, it was so uncharacteristic. I thought, okay, this is really weird. I'll just let that go. 3 days later, I'm walking up the ramp to go to the ICUs, and I walked into Unit B. I needed to go to Unit C. I just walked into B. I didn't even think. And the nurse comes at me and goes, Chippy, oh my God, your partner's patient. You need to meet her. I'm like, oh, that's funny, because, he sent me a picture. So I can't call her. I'm like, okay. Still didn't, because I thought it was so strange. 3 or 4 days later, I'm walking up the same ramp. Cardiothoracic surgeon comes up. He's like, Chippy, let me guess, I need to meet my partner's patient. He said, you need to call her. I was like, okay, 3 signs. So that night, I pick up the phone. I still didn't. I felt weird calling her. So I sent her a text message. I put the phone down. I get up to walk, and my phone rings. And it's her. Which means that as I was sending the text, she was dialing my number. And for a year and a half, she stitched me back together. Slowly and slowly. And this entire time, I remember thinking, God, may I not run into him in the hospital, because I wouldn't know what to do. And God forbid if we had the same patient. And wouldn't you know, I never saw him until this moment. And I'm standing, and there's 3 elevators on the 3rd floor. And I'm standing in front of the middle elevator, and for some reason that afternoon there was nobody in the hallway, which is so unusual. The elevator door, ding, it opens, and he walks out. And I looked at him, and I said, I love you. I love you top to bottom, front to back, inside out. I love you. And he looked at me, and I saw like he had an emotion, and as quickly as he had it, he masked up and he walked away. And he never turned back. Never saw the kids again. No text message, no happy 16th birthday, no congratulations, graduated college, high school, congratulations, you got into law school, congratulations, you got a 4.0 with 3 majors. Nothing. He just walked away. And I floated. My feet didn't touch the ground, and it lasted like 6.5 hours. I can't even describe that feeling to all of you. I just floated for hours. And then I understood the power of forgiveness. And I ran into another physician. And I said, we need to create a program. We need to create a program of how we teach people to forgive and to love and to love their bodies into health and vitality and well-being. And we created this beautiful program. It is now up and running. Jordan is one of our dietitians. And we have touched a lot of lives. And I understood then that there has to be a purpose to this journey, this collection that creates a purpose. And so one day I woke up like 4 a.m. I went back to work and work and work, and I just got to a point where I just couldn't. Because now that I went through this and I got to a different place, every person that I saw something. I saw a pain maybe from a week ago, or 10 years ago, or 30 years ago, and it was manifesting as something. It was something. It was either cancer, or it was heart disease, or it was diabetes. It was something, and it's truly, truly the pain, the resentment, the anger, the what ifs that we store into our being that needs to come out. And I thought, I have 6 minutes per patient. There's no way we're still talking about the risks and benefits of statin therapy. I'm going to ask them about how did their mother treat them. And I thought, there's no way, I can't keep sustaining this. And so I got up and I wrote a resignation letter. And it was raining, it was dark, and I put the resignation letter on the desk of every one of my partners. And I thought to myself, wait, could I do this? Because at the beginning of this practice, the way I came into this town was so incredible. Do you guys want to hear the story?
Yes.
So, it was my last year of my cardiology fellowship, and that's the time where you're launching yourself and you're launching your career to some brilliant practice. And we were settled. We were going to be in Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah, I know, it's a happy place. And I could work part-time. It was great. And then I met a doctor, a cardiologist that came from here. He was there in Cleveland on a January 2 weeks. He was trying to get a nuclear cardiology certification. You have to take a physics course in order to do that. And so we helped him, because he was years out from physics. And he looked at me and he said, where are you going to go to practice? I said, I've got a great spot, part-time, Youngstown, Ohio. He was like, Youngstown, Ohio. I said, why don't you come to Florida? I'm like, no, Florida? You're a bunch of malpractice quacks. I'm not coming to Florida. He said, okay, well, my practice is a bunch of brilliant guys. Just come in. Why don't you interview? Because you guys have no money, just come and interview. So we landed in Tampa. We're driving over the Skyway Bridge, and it's blue and blue and blue, and we just left Cleveland in January. And he's like, dude, I could drive my car every day of the year here. I'm like, yeah, that's the reason to come. But so we had this great interview, and then he's like, listen, you guys need to come back, let's solidify this contract, let's get this signed. We come back a second time, and the head of my group looks over at my husband and said, what are you going to do? He's like, well, my head is too big to work with other people. I mean, okay, there were so many clues. And he said, well, listen, there's a wonderful doctor. Why don't you go meet her tomorrow morning? And, she's in this place called Lakewood Ranch, where there is nothing beyond like just 75 and 70. And so we're standing in the parking lot, and he goes to see the shell of an office, and he's talking to her, and she looks over at me and she says, where are you from? I said, well, I grew up in Chicago. She's like, no, silly. What part of India are you from? And I said, Dr. Elsie, you're not going to know I come from this little tiny town. She's like, try me. So I said, well, I'm from Pathanamtha. She says, Pathanamtha? Because I was a doctor there from 1968 to 1973. I said, oh my God, you have to know my parents. My grandfather, he was a big deal. We owned a factory, it was a big deal. We were a big family. She's like, no. Ask your mother, who was her doctor when she was pregnant with you? Mom, who was your doctor when you had me in Pathanamtha? And she said, oh, this guy, Dr. John. I said, oh, Dr. Elsie, this is guy, Dr. John. She said, Dr. John. Dr. John John was my attending partner, I would have been the only female. I mean, she was badass, okay? 1970, she was a female physician in Buckingham, India, okay? She's like, I would have been the only female physician. Ask your mother who attended her delivery. I said, Mom, who delivered me? She said, oh, this beautiful lady, Dr. Elsie. And years later, I just went to her 80th birthday. Years later, she said that she never does the Indian interrogation. You know, where are you from? What did you do? How much did your father make? You know. She said she never does the Indian interrogation, but somehow she looked at me and she told herself she had to ask me where I was from. And I thought, my God, this is meant to be. How can I give this up? But I knew that I had to. And so I remember this, I have this bowl. My older daughter got this for me when I opened my new practice. And it sits on the table, and it's kintsugi. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's a Japanese art form that started with the shogun in like the 15th century. He broke like a favorite bowl, and he asked all these artisans to put it together, and they couldn't, and he just said, you have to. And so what they did is they took the broken pieces and they glued it. Well, they put like gold filling, and if there was a big gaping hole, they would stick a ruby or an emerald. And I thought, that's my life. That's me. And that's all of us. Because whatever it is, that is your story. It fills you. It fills the space that you are in. And it can break us. And we have a choice. It can shatter us, and you have every right for it to be shattered. Or you can become kintsugi. You could fill the gaping hole with an emerald. You can celebrate the cracks, and you can create something that is of greater value and beauty than what it started out with. And I think that's the purpose. That's my purpose, and that's our purpose. And the fact that you are all here in this collective purpose, that's what we have to do. Because each of our stories fill us, and it defines us. And so, my father was holding his brand new baby. And his mother looked at him and she said, what do you want to name her? And he said, Chippy. And in Malayalam, means an oyster. But it's the oyster, right? It has a little irritant. And it molds, and it molds, and it molds. And it creates this pearl. So that's my name. Thank you. Who's got questions? I know, it's a lot. And you know, it's funny because I wanted to start storytelling where people share their stories. And I tell you, I sat with someone who just blew my story out of the water. And you know, I guess it's not about comparison, right? But it's just about how we live our stories that matters. And I do want to highlight, in my healing journey, I just went all in, and I went into all sorts of alternative stuff to heal this energetic body. Because I do understand that we are not this flesh and blood. truly, if you look at us at the very core, we are energy and space and motion. And so I had these interesting opportunities of people that just would pop into my life. And, you know, the Chari Center, these guys sitting here are doing subconscious energy healing. And, you know, since no one has a question, I'll tell you this interesting story. You asked me to ask my father why he left me when I was a year old. And when I say ask my father, it's just me. I'm on Zoom with Deepak here, and he's playing this music that allows me to get into my subconscious. And he's like, ask your dad. And I'm thinking, what is he talking about? Ask my dad. Like, ask my dad how? He's like, just go in there and ask your dad why he left. And my dad, I'll give you a little backstory on my dad. He is this incredibly magnanimous human, but he was such a lazy kid. And they had to push him and push him and push him to finish college. And finally his dad is like, he's just gonna inherit the family business, it's fine, let's get him married off. He was just, you know, he would just walk around with his older brother, accomplishing nothing, doing nothing. And he married my mom, and he, in that session, he said, when you were born, I looked at you and I said to myself, you will never be anyone's lackey. And so I picked up and I wanted to create a life for you. And that came out, and I know that was his truth. And then I have incredible Miss Patricia. I have, where is Linda? Where is Linda? My other energy, well, you, Linda. Linda, oh my God. I have a story about Linda. Oh my God. When the bank account went to zero, my first paycheck, I remember I came to you and you said, honey, let me show you how to open a bank account. And you sat with me at Chase. And you opened a bank account with me. And I love you and thank you. And the other Linda, who does this incredible energy healing, and Miss Patricia over there doing incredible energy healing. What did you clear from my heart wall? Forlorn, abandonment, love unreceived, all of it. And I think that's the cool thing about stepping out of my world. Is like, holy shit, food heals. Right? Food heals. I mean, and if you don't know, Ione, Letitia, the food that you eat, when you go to these places, you literally float from the colors and the magic that they create. And I am so grateful to both of you. Thank you so much for coming and showing us your talent. And please, after this, please enjoy. Food heals, movement heals, sleep heals, forgiveness heals, everything. Community heals. And one day, my life coach, in the very first session, she looked at me and she said, you are going to write this son of a bitch a thank you letter. And I thought she was batshit crazy. And now I realize, this is my thank you. Thank you.
I keep forgetting. Marvin keeps reminding me. So I had severe osteoporosis at age 45. And several years ago, after my healing, my friend is like, Chippy, you really need to repeat a DEXA. And I did, and I had minimal osteopenia. And I did nothing to change it, meaning I didn't take any drugs, I didn't take calcium, I didn't even work out, I shouldn't say that. But the weight of my life lifted and my bones healed. Yeah, thank you, Marvin. it's, because we're all in this energetic field together. We're all experiencing this human experience. And in this prayer, no matter who harmed you or you harmed someone or it's a hurt, it doesn't matter who did what. When you say, I am sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, all the universe hears is gratitude and love and repentance, and that is such a powerful force. And I would encourage all of you to try it. If there's any little conflict you have, just repeatedly say that prayer. I'm telling you, it shifts balance. I had a doctor who came, he does alternative healing, and this beautiful young patient came to him, and she was dying of cancer, and she came to say goodbye to him, and he said, I'm so sorry, I have nothing else to offer. And he was so moved by her story. He went home that night, and for half an hour he meditated on her and said this prayer. And 3 years goes by, she visits him. She said, my cancer is gone, I don't know what happened. Maybe, she said, I don't know. They can't find any traces of my cancer. And he didn't say anything to her, but he knew that there was something to it. And it's kind of a great story of how Ho'oponopono. So I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Yeah, Tammy, thank you. So it's a great prayer. Now that we have the mic back on, any questions? Yeah, hi, Charlie.
So, are you going to tell us where to go to find all these magical people?
It's a great question. So Charlie, I want to know how you're going to find all these magical people. We are going to create a collective of healers, and Purpose Collective is going to have a physical space. We're thinking like in 6-7 months, it's going to have a brick and mortar space. But right now you all can find me. Jordan is our dietitian, this brilliant, wonderful, gorgeous human being. Mari. We have Dr. Roche, who is just, oh my God, just the most beautiful, delightful lifestyle medicine. She's boarded in family medicine and lifestyle medicine, and she can, with me, we want to heal as many people. We want to make it so that it's not cost prohibitive, so there's this entire spectrum. If you want to sit with us, any one of us, one-on-one, you can. I definitely want to showcase some of these incredible healers that are here tonight. And we're going to probably have online, whether it's articles and podcasts. And if you guys want to subscribe, I think it's like, what are we saying, $10 a month? Where I'm going to put out articles and little videos, and you can email me so that there's this accessibility. And so, purposecollective.com. There's some information in the back. I'm at drchippy.com with Mari and Jordan. And and we want to showcase some of these incredible healers that are here. And it's iterative. Like, we do it and then we learn and then we create. And this is what I want to create. So please, if you guys have any ideas, and if anyone wants to be up here and tell their story, that would be great too. So, anything else? And we're here, right? How long do we have to hold?